Hey everybody, my name is Tracy Obert Saboe, and I'm talking to you from my office here at the Sanctuary here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. I'm a BodyTalk practitioner, and I wanted to demonstrate the Cortices technique to everybody. Now in BodyTalk, we believe that a body that can talk to itself can heal itself. And one of the most important parts of that is the brain. So if we can get the brain talking to itself as efficiently as possible, then it'll be able to more easily see what's going on in the rest of the body mind, because everything that goes on in the body mind is reflected in the brain somehow. So this is the basic Cortices technique that anybody can learn. It doesn't take any special training or anything. It's a real simple focus, and our focus is just focusing on connecting the left and right sides of the brain. So before I demonstrate this technique and teach it to you, I just want to go over a couple brief things. I want to make sure that you're breathing deeply, breathing all the way in and all the way out. While you're doing that, your breath is your scanning tool, so we need to be able to breathe all the way out and all the way in so that our brain and our body can see all the different frequencies of the body mind. The other thing that we do is we tap. There's a reason for tapping. It's kind of like when you were in high school or grade school and you play with magnets. If you have a bunch of iron filings on a filing board, and you turn a magnet on underneath them, they don't actually move immediately. They actually will move when you tap the paper just a little bit to kind of jar and break up that static electricity, that friction, so that they can, and then they'll coalesce from the magnet after friction is overcome. And so that's why we tap. And there's three different brains that we tap over. We tap over the brain and the head. And when you're tapping over the brain and the head, you want to make sure that you're tapping evenly across both sides of the brain. And this is where we save whatever change we're needing to change. And then we tap over the brain and the heart. The brain and the heart saves the change. It's actually a much more powerful electromagnetic field than the brain and the head. So tapping over the heart saves that change. And then we also tap over the brain and the gut. The brain and the gut really helps to integrate everything on a really deep level. So those are the three brains that we tap over. Okay. So to get started with the Cortices technique, I'm just going to take my hand and I'm going to put it on the back of my head. I'm just going to turn around here so you can kind of see what I'm doing. And so this is the first part of the brain. This actually covers your brain stem, and it also covers the first position of the Cortices technique. And just this alone, the reptilian brain here does a lot to create, help oxygenate the body and things like that. So what I want you to do is focus, and you can either pretend that your hand is a bridge or a jumper cable that's connecting the two sides of the brain together, or you can just simply say out loud, how much more cooperation and harmony can the left and right side of the brain have at this location, right? And so while you're focusing on that, we're just going to go ahead and tap over the electromagnetic field of the brain. So go ahead and tap while you're focusing on connecting those two sides of the brain together. And we're just saying, hey brain, take a look at that. Look at those changes and implement them. And then when you feel like that's complete, you can go ahead and tap over the heart, and we can go ahead and have the heart save those changes. And we can tap over the brain and the gut so that those changes can be integrated on a really deep level. All right, and then once you feel like that's complete, we can go ahead and take our hand. I like to just change hands because it's just easier for me, but if it's easier for you just to walk your hand up, you can. But I'm going to change hands because that's what I like to do. And then again, we're just going to focus here. How much more cooperation and harmonization and coordination can the left and right sides of your brain have at this location across the middle of the brain? And so we're just going to go ahead and tap and ask the brain to implement whatever changes that we can make. We can tap over the heart and help that save those changes. And we can tap over the gut and help that change get integrated as deep as possible. And then just go ahead and move on to the next hand position. So we're over the parietal lobes now, a sense of feeling and touch. And again, we're just going to sit in the question, right? We're not going to say answer, we're just going to sit in the question. How much more love can your right and left sides of your brain have with each other at this point? How much more organization and harmony can they have with each other? And then we can tap over the brain and the heart. And we can tap over the brain and the gut. And then just move on to the next hand position. So this is real easy. We're just going along the middle of the brain, and covering all the different parts of the brain that cross the midline. And again, just kind of sit in that focus, connecting the two sides of the brain together. And make sure you're breathing, tapping over all three brains. When you first start this, we like to recommend about 2 breaths per hand position. When you get so that you're doing this regularly, you'll start to actually feel what it feels like when the shifts happen, when you feel like your brain has made that next upgrade to the next highest level of health that it's possible to be in the moment. And so then it can go quicker, but 2 breaths is what we recommend. So now we're over the frontal cortex of the brain. And this is a real important part for humans. We have the left side of the brain that's correct, and we have the right side that's kind. We want to make sure that they're getting along with each other so that you can be correct and kind at the same time, so you can tell your truth in love. Moving on to the next hand position. Making sure that truth is informing your love. And again, I can go down to the eyebrows because this prefrontal cortex is so important. Again, making sure that your logic is informing your intuition and not talking you out of it. And tapping over the heart, tapping over the gut. Okay. Alright, so we've done the middle of the brain. We've connected all the different parts of the brain in the middle. But we have one more hand position. We have the sides of the brain to do. And so this is real important. It's easy to forget. So I just like to really stress it. So what I like to do is just put my hands on the sides of my head. And just imagine that you're shining flashlights deep into your brain, so that we can really connect the right temporal lobe with the left temporal lobe. This is also where your limbic brain is, where your emotional centers are. So the breathing is real important to make sure that you're getting at those emotional centers as well. And I like to just, once you feel like you've got that focus, that you're shining those flashlights bright, that you've got that bridge built, or whatever that feeling is for you, that you've got that intention, that we're connecting those two sides of the brain together. I like to just imagine that I have 4 hands. So we can go ahead and take our hands away. Just imagine they're still there, shining those flashlights really bright. And we can go ahead and tap over the head and heart at the same time. And then we can also tap over the gut and heart at the same time. Alright, so that's the Cortices technique. How do you feel? Do you feel different than you did before? You just kind of be aware of how your body feels and how it reacts and how it talks to you. And this is an amazing technique that you can do on a regular basis. I would recommend doing it at least 3 times a day. You know, when you wake up in the morning, when you go to bed at night, really anytime you're fried. Every time you tap out your cortices, your brain's going to get a new update of your body-mind, and it's going to get a more current, clear picture of what needs to happen for overall health. And so these effects are cumulative, so the more often you do the cortices technique, the better your results are going to be. And the more often you do it, the deeper your focus gets as well. So by deepening your focus, you actually get deeper, more profound results every time you tap into your cortices as well. So I'd encourage you to practice that. If you have any questions, you can reach me at my office. Thank you for watching, and let me know how your cortices practice goes for you. And if you want to make your own cortices video, feel free to do that. Have a great day. Electrons and sunshine.